Our guest this hour helps us walk down memory lane and look into Saba Saba at 36 and where it has come to at the point, coming away from, one-party state to multi-partism, and Kenya saying that, you must get into a space where democracy, as is defined by Kenya, actually does take center stage. Strategic advisor Fredrick Okango is here with us this morning. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
How are you doing? I'm
very well this Saba Saba day.
Okay.
It is the 7th day of July.
Yes.
2026. But we remember 36 years ago.
Yeah.
I was also born on the 7th day, but not of July.
Oh, I was about to start singing happy birthday,
No.
Too
so
bad.
7 is a very important number in our lives as Kenyans, particularly as we trace back to the issues of multi-party democracy.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll look into some of those issues today. But before that, we'd love for you to interpret our proverb. Dennis will tell you where that's from.
Yeah, the proverb today comes from Liberia, the oldest republic in the continent, formed in 1847 by returnees, pretty much African Americans, freed slaves who came back and said they formed the country. It is rich in iron ore, rubber, gold, and diamond. Also, another first from the country elected a female president, that is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Right. Let's go to the proverb. When spiderwebs unite, they can tie up a lion. How would you interpret it?
Repeat it.
When spiderwebs unite, they can tie up a lion.
They can tie up a lion.
Yes.
I'll give it an operational interpretation. In my interpretation, I think even the weakest, when they come together in numbers, they can overcome the most powerful. That's what I interpret.
Well said, well interpreted. Yeah, on the money.
On the money. All right, so give us a little bit of your insights and understanding as to Saba Saba Day. Those 36 years ago, on that day, what was it that essentially was being fought for, that Kenyans remember with, such spirits until today, and even want to be part of that spirit of Saba Saba?
Well, I think history is important, and I'm sure most of the young people today are trying to understand what is this Saba Saba. The Saba Saba of those days of the 90s was a moment that Kenyans were tired of a one-party state that was led by Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. At that time, people considered him one of the worst presidents, a dictator, if you like, because the government of the day, the KANU regime, had refused that the party that will remain Baba na Mama was KANU. And Kenyans were tired. Charles Rubia, Martin Shikuku, Kenneth Matiba, they were pushing for a multi-party state. And you remember there were arrests. Police tortured Kenyans. There were arrests, over 1,000 people, we are told, and before they planned for Kamkunji, the now famous Kamkunji grounds.
Yeah.
People were arrested, and finally, even after their arrests, people still went to the streets. Those days, people were fighting for a multi-party state. Then came 1990s, 2000. That movement was, or rather, that commemoration was later associated with Raila Odinga, my late party leader, and they were still fighting for certain reforms, accountability, issues of civic liberty, and many more, until the time that now Kenya got the new constitution. And in the new constitution, the people of Kenya gave themselves a multi-party democratic state. To date, I believe, there are still issues of concern to the people. They are not Saba Saba related, but they are issues that I believe are on transform agenda, particularly issue of accountability.
Right.
And Kenyans continue to pursue that through constitutional means. Unfortunately, some of the constitutional means that Kenyans have been using have also been abused by the very people that pursue those issues. So I can, in summary, I can say that the Saba Saba that we knew, the Saba that we read in history, it was a genuine fight for a space that was going to create multi-party democracy and that was going to create reforms, particularly in parties, because the political parties are meant to be the instruments of policy. If I were leaders of political parties today, I would celebrate this day by converging as political parties and reflecting back on how the political party became to be.
Okay.
But we see today some people are celebrating it differently because there could be issues that are pending, particularly issues of accountability.
I mean, if you look at Saba, the original push for multi-party democracies, that is in the 90s, and that was achieved when our retired president, Daniel Moi, former president, repealed Section 2A. Now, we move further.
Of the old constitution.
Yes. We move further and we look at the Constitution 2010. Raila Odinga takes advantage of the Saba Day pretty much to as well keep on pushing for reforms and changes pretty much in the governance of the country. And that continued throughout. Today we see those who celebrate the day as well continue with that push in terms of change that they want to see in terms of governance, some of the civil rights, civic rights that they want to see and enjoy, still push on this day. But one asks the question, throughout this time, are Kenyans, have we gone back to the dark days when protest was illegal, when speaking your voice and pushing for reforms was never allowed? Are we back to the dark days? Because many Kenyans are saying we're still fighting, but we're not being allowed to be heard.
I think I look at it differently. For sure, as a country, we have made progress. We have made progress to an extent that today you can even insult the president and you get away with it because it's free speech. Today, you can call for a meeting as a political party, as an individual, and you say whatever you want to say, so as long as you're within the law, and you get away with it. Those days, you could not. In fact, during the KANU days, you needed to get a permit. Today, you don't need a permit. Today, you need to inform the relevant authorities that I intend to do this within the confines of the law, Article 37, and you shall proceed. I concede that there are certain instances where, as a people, we have not probably exercised those rights within the confines of the law, and that is troubling, particularly where we have seen riots or assemblies becoming chaotic and people are injured, people are arrested for whatever reason. But I want to remind our viewers and listeners that the people of Kenya, when they gave themselves these instruments, these legal instruments, remember the constitution we have today is the constitution that was passed by over 67% of the people. They said, we want the Bill of Rights. And in the Bill of Rights, they also gave themselves part of the constitution, Article 37. Every person has a right to protest, assemble, picket, and present petitions to authorities for as long as they are peaceful and unarmed. That is the condition. That condition when not met, then now it becomes a very dangerous situation, particularly to the police officers and the participants. And that's where we are today. We are struggling as a country with how to exercise the provisions of Article 37, where we are agitating for certain reforms, accountability issues, issues of corruption, issues of, malpractice, wastages, and we go out to the streets and say, okay, fine, we want to present a petition to Parliament. But as we do so, we have a genuine cause. But in our cause, we are infiltrated by people taking advantage of the very, very noble cause to cause chaos. The police at that point must now act to protect both life and property. In doing so, we have seen confrontation. Therefore, you can easily say it is a mix of issues. There are genuine cases, but also there are cases that are not genuine in terms of exercising this right, and also in terms of expressing ourselves as far as accountability issues are concerned. So I agree with you. There are instances where we seem to be going back, but it is a mix of issues. It is a mix of issues. What is it that we must do as a country to ensure that we are on the trajectory of reform that we'd want to see? Because every time we see things, I'm sure we are not the same way we were in 1990s. We don't want to be the same way 10 years to come, the same way we are today. Kenya must progress. And even this new constitution, the drafters told us that it has got 20% defect. So it means if we're to have a perfect constitution, then there are certain things that we have to do. And maybe as we continue, I'll tell you what the panel is doing about this and what the reform agenda have been proposed by various stakeholders in doing so.
Well, let's get into it now, because if we're talking about the fact that 36 years later, when folks were, it was a bloody conflict 36 years ago, Saba.
Yes.
That was life lost and the people who were injured, and that there was a reminder that you cannot actually just stand up and make your desires or will heard. I do agree that over time that has progressed significantly, whereby people then have, to an extent, freedom of speech and or association, but that you can still see the desire to allow you your freedoms and your rights, but then they're curtailed to a particular point. So what are some of those things that's getting to a place where you can truly say that these rights are being observed and respected? What are some of the things that are being done? Because I hazard a guess that the intelligence agencies, for example, they've got the expertise. That's why they're there. They have the equipment. They have the wherewithal to decipher, to tell the difference between somebody who is armed and dangerous during a protest and somebody who is not. The people who lost their lives know. The people who were killed by the bullets of police were unarmed. Unarmed. And it takes time for you to shoot, focus, fire. Or rather, to focus, fire, kill. It takes time to do that.
Absolutely.
So what reforms are being taken, or what reforms are being done right now to ensure that security agencies can look at a crowd and decide that we're not going to shoot here, we're not going to throw tear gas, we're going to allow them their constitutional right to protest, to picket, to remember, to commemorate, and not kill them?
I want to take us back. When some of the organizers of protests of whatever nature, whether it is Saba, whatever it is, whether it is finance bill protest, whether it is a demonstration, whether it's a picket, some of them have issued statements that are of a security concern. For example, when somebody says, tomorrow there will be no schools, there will be no going to work, there will be no passing through this road, because we shall occupy it and we shall protest to petition Parliament on whatever matter. What that means is, for the people who are not interested in your march to Parliament, for the people who are not interested in your protest, you're already infringing on their right to do whatever they want to do. That sends a signal to the authorities that there's likely to be people that their rights are being infringed on and they must be protected. So the police come out and protect the rights of those who are protesting and those who are not protesting.
By killing others?
That. No, not by killing anyone, by ensuring that that protest is peaceful and everyone enjoy that right in equal measure.
How do they ensure that the protest is peaceful? I really, this is what I was asking, the ways. How do they ensure, how do police ensure that a protest
First of all,
peaceful?
It is a requirement. And I am not qualified to speak for the police, but I understand the law. It is a requirement that every person who organizes a protest or demonstration must first of all inform the police through officer commanding station.
Yes.
That is what the Public Order Act says.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you do that, then you work hand in hand with the police to ensure that you identify the routes that you'll follow, and the police put measures in place to ensure that those routes are peaceful and there are no criminals that involving or infiltrating, and they take you through.
Right.
That is the expectation. But there are instances where we have seen organizers issue media statements that we will be taking petition to Parliament through Arambe House, and they take it to the media, or they take it to the police headquarters. That is not the officer commanding station place of work. The OCSs are all over. Now, when that happens, the police come out and say, we have not received any notification to that effect. Therefore, we consider that protest illegal.
Okay.
The problem starts there. Now, you have asked a very good question. How do the police ensure that these protests are peaceful? Majority of our police officers remain professionals. They are trained to protect life and property. And I have seen instances where the police plead with the protesters and tell them, please ensure that you identify your team and don't allow criminals to invade. Don't allow criminals to infiltrate. Because when you do so, this protest will cease to be a peaceful protest and it become a riot. But the protesters sometimes also become violent and they say, no. We know our people, allow us to go. That confrontation, when it starts, it becomes very difficult to protect life and to protect property. But I admit, there are instances where the police officers have also used excessive force, and we have seen death. Today, I serve in a panel of victim compensation, and we are dealing with such cases where people died as a result of gunshots.
People died as a result of police killing them.
I am telling you that statement must be proved. But I am aware that there are people who died as a result of gunshots, and there are medical reports presented to the experts who are medical officers in the panel to do categorization. So, in summary, what I'm saying is, as a country, we have to reflect. We have to look back and see, is it possible to ensure that we have the police maybe retrained on how to handle crowds? Do we look at the police curriculum? Do we look at the Public Order Act? When the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights handed the report on the development of framework for reparation of human rights violation, including from demonstration and public protest, to the president, and ultimately the president gave us that report for implementation administratively. If you read the report, you will see in that report that they have recommended the issues of what to do with them, what do you call it, police Public Order Act, to ensure that the police are retrained on some of these areas. The panel itself has seen it fit to engage a multi-stakeholder team to ensure that we now have serious police reforms in their conduct, in dealing with the demonstrators. Because it is true that the public, when they go out to demonstrate, there are confrontation between the public and the police, and people die.
Fred, do you think that police should use live bullets during situations
No, they should
like
not.
this? They shouldn't.
The police should not.
So that's a one prerequisite whereby you say, for example, that you can use rubber bullets if you need to. You can use your tear gas if that should be where it gets crazy. But the fact that is if you point a gun at somebody with a bullet in it, that there is a likelihood that you will kill this person if you shoot and if you fire.
Do.
Right? So first of all, perhaps that's one thing, because the question always was, why it happened 36 years ago. It happens maybe every year after that when Saba was being celebrated. So it sounds to me that you remove that element and ensure that you enforce. But it seems that it is impossible to enforce something over the police.
I think we must admit that there are instances where there are rogue police officers. And we have seen that. Because That's why we have the internal affairs to deal with those issues. We also have IPOA to investigate. And we have seen there are cases in court today. There's an inquest ongoing about all these issues. So I believe the authorities that are keenly dealing with that. But there's something you have said, that you can even use the rubber bullets. No. Rubber bullets, when they hit you proper,
are very painful.
They are very painful, and they can also even kill you. So I strongly believe that not even rubber bullets are supposed to be used in a protest.
Fred, the OCS that you talk about, the officer commanding stations.
Correct.
They also bear responsibility in terms of the armory. Where you get the weapons, they also are the command center for who will go in a particular place on a particular day. Nobody just says, oh, I am in Langata today. How about I leave the station and go? No. There's command order.
Why are they given the
I'm asking a question
the
based
guns?
on this. There's command order in terms of
there's a chain of command.
Exactly.
The police. Yes.
Who will go where and where they will get their weapons from.
Correct.
So why is it difficult for you to say that from the armory, for the purpose of this keeping the peace on demonstration day, we will not be issuing ammunition?
Like
for example, Ama?
Yeah.
Good idea on paper. But let me tell you, how will the police deal with a situation that has escalated to full riot, and you cannot leave Standard Media Group today to go back home after work because there are gangs who have infiltrated and they are killing everyone, mugging everyone? How do you expect the police?
How many times have those gangs been apprehended?
How do you expect the police to protect you?
How many? No, but you see, this is the thing. The people who were shot and killed, identified by the panel whom you today are compensating, right? Have they been identified as goons or gangs that infiltrated? These are people who were in the protest, who their fellow protesters could say, this is our comrade, this is our friend. So if your argument would lay claim, then we should be able to say, you expect the police to come and protect you from these gangs that infiltrate, right? Why then can the police not identify who these gang people are and then have them arrested? Have we heard to date that gangs have been arrested?
I think the reason why it has been difficult for the police to identify them is this. There's been very little cooperation between the organizers of protest or demos and the police. Because
so that's why they can't arrest goons?
I am
gangs?
telling you, in my view, the reason why it has been difficult is because the organizers and the planners and even the funders, it has been difficult for them to cooperate closely with the security officers so that they can identify any infiltration. Because if you're organizing a demonstration, you know your people. We should have protest marshals. We say, in this team that is leading Arambe Avenue, we are 100. And these are our contact details. At the end of the protest, we'll check if all of us are there. If we see anyone joining that is not part of us and behaving in a manner that we not agree, then that person should be pulled away because he is not part of us.
Allow me to ask a question in this way, please,
Proceed.
so that I can understand. In a neighborhood where a police post is there and a police officer or 3 are on the beat keeping the peace, do they ask people in the neighborhood, please identify your houses from 60 to 100 so that we can know you people are the ones who live here? Or are there ways in which they're able to identify individuals who are untoward?
Every police officer is trained to deal with situations that are escalating. We have got security officers, we have got DCI, we've got intelligence officers that know everything. They know even where you live.
Are they trained to identify people who would not be like your peaceful protesters, for example, who are wielding crude weapons? Would they
police
be able
officers
to identify?
are trained to identify criminals.
Okay.
They are trained to deal with criminals. They are trained to apprehend criminals.
But they have
That is the
not.
training. It is a professional training.
But they have not. And I'm going to insist that the goons and the gangs that we talk about, tell me one goon that has been arrested from the ACK issue. since. Tell me the goons that we saw on TV who are walking alongside police
officers
who have been apprehended to date. They were seen with police. Tell me one that has been apprehended.
Well,
Tell me the ones in Kisii over the weekend who've been apprehended to date. Tell me the ones, for example, who attacked Osotsi months ago that have been apprehended, who we were told. I'm asking a question and you know where I'm going.
To answer you.
You know where I'm going with this, Okango.
I know.
Because I'm asking very clearly, if they have been trained, as you say, if they have been trained to deal within escalating situations, why is it so difficult for them to apprehend the bad elements in a protest which would otherwise be commemorative and then people go home?
So, I started by saying the cooperation between the protesters or the organizers and the police. And you have asked a good question. Are there any goons who have been apprehended in Kisii, in Ososi's case, in the streets? You work for a media house, and I'm sure you have reported this. You have seen people arrested after these incidents have happened, and you have seen people being presented in court. Who are those people? In the issue of Ososi, there are people who are arrested. In the issue, they
told us they left the country.
No. I don't know who told you, but
the CS said it on TV.
He came here and told you?
He said it, and he was in public.
Said it to who?
He was captured. The country.
Oh, yes. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
But listen, the Keumbu, the recently incidents that happened in Keumbu, I saw people arrested. I saw them. I listened to this police spokesperson last evening, Nyaga. He was categorical. And he said that any act of criminality in any manner will be dealt with in accordance with the law. And I've seen after every instance where the criminal gangs taking advantage, I've seen people being arrested. What you must ask is, how come these people maybe have not been convicted? That takes us to the investigative pattern. It takes us to the ODPP and many others. But I'm sure investigation also takes some time. But I'm not defending the police of doing wrong things. No. I'm trying to tell you that I believe that as a country, because we don't have a police force, we have a police service that is professionally trained. But within the police force, we are also aware there could be some elements of people that are not professional in their conduct. And that's why we, as a people of Kenya, always strive to ensure that we reform every time we proceed. That reform demands of me, you, and him to put suggestions forward. You have just said that, is it possible that the police OCS tell the troop that, no, there's a protest, there's likely to be a confrontation, please keep your guns away. Maybe use batons, I don't know. Those are issues that we can now start talking about.
I mean, Okango, when you look at the notification that is required by law, the notification is not permission. And that is also a judicial decision that was given. The court gave a decision, a ruling, that seeking notification is not seeking for permission. The police should not mistake that notification is permission.
That's true.
Right? And one asks the question then, with a police officer in police service in this country that has a well-trained DCI, a well-trained NIS, how come is it that it is easy to foil one of the most difficult situations in the country? Say there is a terrorist attack somewhere. The DCI, the NIS will always give that intelligence and ensure that doesn't happen. But here we're talking about demos that are happening. Notification has been given. We are coming out to demonstrate on such and such a day. And this is what we're going to do. Case in point. We will be coming to Parliament to commemorate an anniversary for Kenyans who were killed outside Parliament. We will be coming there with our flags, we'll be coming there with our water and flowers. But what do we wake up early in the morning to? Roads have been blocked. That right there is abrogation of Article 37 of the Constitution, which guarantees Kenyans the right to demonstrate. So from the word go, the people that you are saying should work together with the protesters are the ones who are making it very difficult to work with the protesters in the first instance. So we're here looking at abrogation of the law and why the police service seems as if it's out there to curtail each and every single law there is. One asks the question, when will we ever have a police service that reads the law and implements the law for what it is, not an order that seemingly has come from an office that shouldn't even be ordering the police?
So, I like your analysis. Let's start from blockage, that you say blocking the road. I don't think the police are blocking. You know, what the police officers have told us, and the security officers, that they do screening. So they stop, they put a barrier, and when they put it, they don't block you from passing. They just check to ensure that people moving to that direction are not criminals that would otherwise cause havoc the other side. And in doing so, just listen, in doing so, there's likely to be some traffic congestion because it takes a bit of time. When I was coming here, I was stopped along the road and they checked and they gave me a go ahead, please proceed. I identify myself, I say I'm going to SpiceFM, okay, proceed. And they allowed many others. That is what happens. Number two, you say in doing so, they are abrogating the right to protest.
Even to movement.
To movement. The right to movement can only be abrogated if you are stopped from proceeding. You are told you are supposed to go to Mombasa Road, you are not going. Go back.
I'm going to give
that is not what is happening.
I'm going to give you a personal example.
Okay, before you give me that, let me just finish.
I'm going to give you a personal example.
That's okay.
It's a personal example because on June 25th,
correct,
I was coming here. I was using Mombasa Road, right? I was using Langata Road. And police officers told me, this road has been blocked. You cannot proceed beyond this point. Go back to where it is you have come from. That is blockage. That is abrogation of my right to movement.
So you see,
so at that point, me as a Kenyan, my right has been abrogated by the police officers who are supposed to uphold the law. On that day, we covered the entire country, and many Kenyans were stopped from proceeding, going to their places of work. So we will not say that police have not blocked people when we aired that, when the country experienced that.
It seems as though there's a long way to go, that there'll always be differing sides. And there should, I know you had a point, coming into that, but there should, I'm conflicted because should there be differing sides over something that's very clear in your country's law? Why should you take a side over something that has been made very clear that you should be here, unless we're saying that it's not clear how these things should be dealt with?
You shouldn't. And to answer that, let me just finish with what I was saying. In your instance, when you said that you were told to go back, and a police officer told you, you cannot proceed, we have blocked this road, did they give you the reason? Now, that is a right. I understand. In fact, right of movement, you are supposed to move freely in any part of the country. But these rights, they have got a limitation in Article 24. Any right can be limited to the extent that is reasonable and justifiable in law. That's what Article 24 says. If the police or security officers assess the situation and realize that in exercising that right, then your life can be in danger or other lives can be in danger, then the law allows them to limit to the extent that is reasonable and justifiable. I don't know what you experienced, but it's unfortunate if that was not the reason. And Ndua said, something that is very clear. Why are we debating what is very clear? Why don't we just allow people to go, demonstrate, then go back home? It is clear. And the condition is, those demos must be peaceable and unarmed. But you realize that in the demos, you see people carrying rungus. Where are they from? You see people removing stones from the pocket. Where are they from? You see people carrying tear gas canisters that are meant to be for the police. Where are they from? Those protests are no longer peaceful. They are no longer, they are now armed. They are no longer unarmed. And that is why the police now take action. But I also concede that we have seen peaceful protest. Let me give an example. Lawyers, LSK, they have done demos in this country. No one has ever died in their demo. No one has ever been injured in their demo. Teachers. No one has ever died. The university dons. No one has ever been injured. The doctors. No one. Can you ask yourself why? Those union demos are organized. They know each other. They cooperate with the security agencies. They follow a certain route that they are demarcated, that this is the route we are going to follow. That is how demos are supposed to be done.
Is it possible that these demos that you speak of, which often are ridden by violence, have something that are tinged politically and essentially challenge the status quo of an administration in place? And I'm not talking just about this. Look at Saba 36 years ago, the institution that you quoted. Interestingly enough, you were a long-time KANU member, and then
I was.
Yes. At the time, the challenge of the status quo, it does a big thing politically. You know what optics look like. So if you allow people into cities, essentially, to challenge a political, fundamentally governed place that you have set up, it does something for the optics, doesn't it? And for you to allow such a thing to happen then points to a certain kind of political weakness that you might have. Because otherwise, why would it, understanding protests for lawyers, doctors, teachers, people living with disabilities, women, understanding the need to protest in those areas, but not understanding the need to protest around issues of governance, leadership, the rule of law. That is the only place where there is an issue. Explain that to me, please.
There's no issue.
But
in
it seems
fact,
as there is.
When lawyers
remember
protest,
that I'm not talking about June 2024 only. I'm not talking about this year.
all of them.
36 years ago.
All of them
there
as
was
we
an
come.
issue
As we come.
today. Yeah.
That's true. But let me give you an example. In fact, all protests, all demos, there are issues of governance. When lawyers go out to protest, remember there's a time when they went out because one of them was kidnapped and killed, allegedly. They were protesting on issues of governance, bad governance, how their people are mistreated. When doctors go out to protest, they are protesting on issue of CBA, collective bargaining agreement, the issues of governance. When teachers go out, they are protesting, there are issues of governance. All these issues are politically related.
Fred, one thing you must not do is be disingenuous, because you know exactly what I'm saying.
No.
If there is an issue, if there is an issue that confronts the executive, if there is an issue that confronts constitutionalism right at the center, there seems to be an issue. Let's talk on that place where we're elevating the authenticity of this conversation.
I don't think that's not a very good way to look at it. No.
Every protest.
That's not a good way to look at it.
No. Well, it may not be a good way, but it's a true way. So let's look at it like that.
When people were protesting in the 90s, they were protesting en masse because the issues that were affecting them, they were affecting everyone, and the people made a decision that we want multi-party democracy and we want a state that we can have political parties compete. We don't want Baba na Mama.
Were they allowed to protest peaceably?
They were not.
Exactly.
They were not allowed because at that time, that was the law. KANU was the law, KANU was the rule, KANU was Baba and Mama. We overcame. Then came 2010. Boom. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, we are a multi-party democratic state. We have Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, freedom to protest and assemble, all those things. When they arrived, then those provisions were guarded. They are now protected. You are free to protest. You are free to assemble. You are free to picket. But you must do it within a certain manner. That manner is what is lacking. I can guarantee you today that for as long as we don't have enabling legislation to guide Article 37, how we exercise it responsibly, then we will still see this confrontation. Now, I consider also that there are instances where the public are annoyed with the regime of the day. For whatever reason, they're unhappy. They feel that, we are being mistreated. There are a lot of theft going on. There are a lot of misgovernance, and so on and so forth. And that is an issue that points to the executive. Is it also possible that they have got avenues of channeling that? Is it possible? Yes, it is.
Is it?
It is. It is possible. We have members of parliament that represent us. What are they doing? If a member of parliament is supposed to legislate, oversight, and represent, who is he representing? You, me, and them. I am able to present that petition to Parliament and they pursue it. But the challenge...
How has that worked out historically?
You're going to ask me.
How has that worked out historically?
How am I presenting it to Parliament? I have to go to Parliament, present a physical petition.
Right.
Or I can send an email to the clerk. Or I can use my member of Parliament to do a private motion. Right? That has been seen. I am trying to be innovative and creative.
But how I present it is at my discretion.
Yes.
I might choose to present it physically.
Yes.
I might choose to present
an
it
email.
alone. I might choose to present it
Member
as
of Parliament.
a group of people.
Exactly.
Right?
You are free.
But then, Okango,
Yes.
as
Let's proceed.
You see, Okango.
Yes.
We will read about protests and how they ought to be. Notification, giving the path, where we're going and everything else. But how do you read it when you are going for demos? You see individuals with batons walking side by side.
The police.
How do you read when the police say, we are coming in to protect you, yet you find individuals, Kenyans, with batons outside Nairobi saying we are protecting our businesses? What is the role of the police in providing security to every other business and Kenyans, those who are protesting and those who are not? How do you read when you go to Eldoret and you find individuals who are on the streets with batons and saying, we do not want demonstrations in this town. You try, we will beat you to a pulp. And the police that you're talking about, who should ensure that the right to demonstrate and that is guarded and protected, they are not there to ensure that those who are threatening are arrested. Is the police genuine in saying that we are here to protect these rights and ensure that those who want to protest can do so peacefully?
I understand, because we have seen those images where the police officers, together with some people who are perceived to be goons, carrying batons and they are allegedly protecting business premises. That is unfortunate, because they must be identified. And if the identification reveals that they were not police officers, because they are not, then action must be taken against them. They are interfering with the peace. That must happen. I agree. Number two, we have also seen instances where unidentified men pose as police officers and do very bad things in masks and so many other things. We have seen that. That must happen. I listened to Nyaga yesterday, the police spokesperson, and he said, those are not their people. Those are not their people. Those who are carrying batons, beating others, their people are police officers, professionally trained and identifiable, and have been sent to deal with those issues as such. So if the instances where they are goons, those goons must be dealt with, because they are a threat to security.
Unfortunately, Okango,
Yes.
I think, even as we listen to Mr. Nyaga speak,
Yes.
I think there is a lot of dishonesty in that statement. Why? Because during the demos, we have seen plainclothes individuals with the masks on their faces against the court order, picking up protesters and throwing them in a police vehicle.
You said plainclothes individuals?
Individuals.
So they are not police officers?
Tell me, because you're saying they are identifiable. How are they identifiable when they are in civilian clothes?
Can a civilian put somebody in the police
When
vehicle?
they are masked, how do I identify them?
No.
When they arrest you, they do not identify themselves. They do not give you a service number. They do not even tell you your offense. All they do is pick you and put you in a police vehicle. At that point, tell me how this person who's not identifiable is working together with police officers in uniforms, putting you in a police vehicle. Talk to me about how that makes sense together with the statement given by Mr. Nyaga.
When I listened to Nyaga last evening, and I've listened to him before also, and I've also listened to other senior police officers, we have got the DCI that are not in uniform. But also we have got regular police that, because of the nature of operations they do, they're in civilian clothing, because they gather intelligence in the interest of protecting the public. They do that. So we have seen those instances. And there have been instances where we have seen goons with guns marauding around politicians and also behaving like criminals, and then it's alleged that they're police officers. I strongly believe that it is only investigation that can reveal the true identity of these individuals. I'm happy you're using the word individuals because we don't know them. How do we know them that they're police officers? We don't know. So it is the duty of the investigative authorities to identify these people. And the media has been putting out that picture every time. They have helped the public to understand that there are certain people that are with the police, in the surrounding of the police, and we don't know whether they're police officers or they're police officers. And some of them have guns, they are masked. Who are these people? That is the work of investigative authorities.
Okango.
We believe that in due time, they'll be identified.
You are a lawyer, right?
Yes.
If a civilian police officer, a DCI or an NIS officer, who is a police officer pretty much, arrests me, what should be the procedure?
That you're taken to the police station.
Before I'm
to record
picked
a
up,
statement.
what are they supposed to do?
Identify themselves. And the reason why they have picked you.
Right?
Yes.
Including giving me a service number.
Correct.
How often does that happen?
I believe for those who are taken to stations that happen. I believe so. But in instance where it has not been happening, then it must happen because that's a problem that we have to deal with. It must happen. If for sure it is not happening, then it should happen. Because that is the only way you know that I have been picked by a police officer so-and-so, service number so-and-so, even though he's not in police uniform, he showed me his identity, and the reason why I've been picked, I've been told is this and this. And then now you call your lawyer, or you are taken to the police station and you're presented before a court of law within 24 hours, and that matter is addressed.
There is
the due
gentleman
process.
called Bob Njage who was picked up by civilian police officers. He sat there and he said he was picked up.
Was he picked from here?
Not here. He was picked up on the streets by individuals he suspected to be police officers. He asked for identification. He asked them where they were taking him. They never came through with that information. He ended up in a place where he was tortured and dumped somewhere within the country. So as we talk about people who pick you up in civilian attires, they are masked, they do not identify themselves. It is a reality in this country. Where when we talk about even the court rulings where police officers need to be
identify themselves,
they need to identify themselves.
They need to be,
all that have not been adhered to yet. A court order is law. Why do we see that?
I understand, and you know, some of these things are very challenging, and the police deal with different situations differently. But for as long as it is a professional undertaking that respects the rule of law and the law itself. So if there are instances where we have seen things not going the right way, that must be corrected. But I have to say that in doing this, all of us have got a part to play. The protester, the public, the police, the investigative authorities, we all have a part to play. We have seen instances where part of this ecosystem do not do their part. And I have to challenge the protesters. I'm happy when you are doing the traffic updates. We have seen today that the traffic is flowing. There are not these blockades that we have been talking about. I want to believe that it will end up that way. We don't want to see blockade. And if they are screening, it is professional screening, and everyone must go about their duty, because in this country, it is a pre-movement. We have to do what we have to do within the law. So I believe that should happen.
I hear you, Fred. We want to thank you for coming in this morning. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation.
I appreciate it.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.